The smell of scorched rosemary intensified, turning acrid and sharp. Elias watched frozen, as the violet hue of the sphere deepened, bleeding into a violent arterial crimson. The roar of the 2026 traffic outside didn't just fade, it glitched. A bus passing the windows stretched like taffy, its silver frame pixelating into the gray mist of a Victorian morning, before snapping back into a neon-lit blur. The sound was the worst part, a rhythmic wet thumping, like a giant heart struggling to clear a clot. The red light pulsing from the sphere wasn't just a color, it was a heat. The lead casing began to sweat a dark, oily substance that smelled of old copper. Elias remembered the letter, "Do not look at the shadows." But as the light turned red, the shadows no longer waited for the walls. They detached. They pooled on the floor like spilled ink, rising into jagged, flickering silhouettes that mimicked the shapes of the clocks. They moved with a jerky, stop-motion twitch, their fingers reaching for the pendulums of the grandfather clocks. Wherever a shadow touched a clock, the glass cracked. The time inside leaked out. "The golden escapement," Elias whispered, his voice sounding hollow, as if he were speaking into a deep well. "Where is it?" He tore through the workbench, casting aside brass tweezers and jars of tiny screws. The red light was now a strobe, and with every flash the shop changed. Flash, the walls were raw timber and dirt. Flash, the walls were gleaming chrome and glass. Flash, there were no walls, only the terrifying infinite gears of a cosmos he wasn't meant to see. Underneath the velvet tray he found a false bottom. He pried it open with a trembling thumbnail. There, nestled in a bed of dried rosemary, was a gear no larger than a dime. It wasn't made of gold, but of solidified sunlight. It didn't tick. It hummed a low, perfect note that vibrated in Elias's teeth. The sphere was now vibrating so violently it threatened to shake the workbench apart. The shadows were at Elias's boots, cold as ice water. He saw the slot, a tiny crescent-shaped void at the very poles of the sphere's inner forest. The red light was blinding now, the stop command of a universe about to cease. The alignment. Elias held his breath, his engineer's hands finding their steady center. The insertion. He dropped the golden escapement into the red-hot core. The snap. The gear didn't just fit, it hungry swallowed the space. The sound of a billion clocks striking one simultaneously nearly blew out the windows. The red light imploded, sucked into the center of the sphere, until it vanished, replaced by a soft, steady amber glow. Elias slumped against the bench, lungs burning. Outside, the street settled. A delivery driver honked at a pedestrian. The bakery next door exhaled the scent of fresh sourdough. The glitch was over. They were stained with the oily black residue of the shadows, a mark that wouldn't wash off. He looked at the sphere, now ticking with a rhythmic, musical grace. It was no longer a grapefruit-sized burden. It was a living thing, and it was satisfied. For now. Note from the ledger. The red light is not an end, but a fever. The golden escapement breaks the fever, but the patient time itself requires constant care. Elias picked up the pen and began to write below his uncle's frantic scrawl. He had survived the red light, but he knew the shadows were still in the corners, waiting for him to miss a single winding. If you enjoy this content, please like and share.